You have felt it, haven't you? This peculiar ache that comes not from malice or tragedy, but from its very opposite. It's the subtle, lingering exhaustion that comes from being good, from being kind in rooms that run on currency, from being sincere in a world that speaks in code. It's the quiet bewilderment you feel when your open hand is met with a suspicious glance, when your genuine compliment is scanned for a hidden agenda, when your simple desire to help is treated as a strategic maneuver in some invisible game. There is a loneliness unique to this condition. It is not the loneliness of an empty room, but the loneliness of a crowded party where you are the only one speaking your native tongue. You offer gifts of vulnerability, of empathy, of quiet understanding, and in return, you receive confusion. A polite, baffled smile. People don't know what to do with your authenticity because it doesn't fit into the neat, transactional boxes they've prepared. They have a slot for colleague, a slot for rival, a slot for potential mate, a slot for useful contact. They do not have a slot for fellow being, here to share a moment of genuine connection. And so, your gift lies on the table, unopened, and you are left feeling not just misunderstood, but foolish, as if you brought a priceless, handcrafted flute to a board meeting and were asked how it contributes to the quarter's profit margin. But what if I were to tell you that this feeling, this deep and aching sense of being out of sync, is not a symptom of your naivete? What if it is not a sign that you are broken, or simple-minded, or too soft for the world? What if this exhaustion, this profound loneliness, is in fact the first stirring of a monumental awakening? What if your pain is a sign not that you are lost, but that you are finally, irrevocably beginning to find your way? And the danger, the real danger you feel, is not that you will be hurt, but that you are beginning to see the game for what it is. And once you see it, you can never, ever go back to sleep. You see, the society we have constructed is a magnificent and elaborate stage play. It is a grand performance with billions of actors, each one handed a script at birth. The script contains all the rules, the motivations, the acceptable lines. It teaches you what to want: the promotion, the larger house, the admiration of strangers, the perfectly curated digital life. It teaches you how to feel: happy at weddings, sad at funerals, ambitious on Monday mornings, and relieved on Friday afternoons. It teaches you how to interact, with a careful mixture of pleasantry and self-interest, a constant, subtle accounting of who owes whom, who has more status, who is winning. And for a very long time, you played your part. You learned your lines. You understood that a certain kind of smile was for your boss, and another kind was for a loved one. You knew that certain topics were for public consumption, and your deeper truths were to be kept under lock and key, perhaps even hidden from yourself. You participated in the grand ritual of small talk, that curious human behavior where we exchange meaningless strings of words simply to reassure each other that we are all still wearing our masks, that no one is going to do anything unpredictable, that the performance will continue as scheduled. The entire enterprise is built upon a set of unspoken agreements. The first agreement is that the play is real. We must all agree, with the utmost seriousness, that the paper money has value, that the job titles mean something fundamental about a person's worth, that the approval of the audience is the most important prize. The second agreement is that we must never, ever acknowledge that we are acting. We must pretend that our scripted desires are our own, that our rehearsed emotions are spontaneous, that the masks we wear are our actual faces. But for you, something has started to go wrong. Or rather, something has started to go right. The stage lights have begun to flicker. You've started to hear the whispers of the stagehands in the wings. You look at the other actors, and for a fleeting moment, you don't see the king, the banker, the rebel, or the scholar. You see a frightened person in a costume, reciting lines they didn't write, terrified of missing a cue. And your pain, your deep, abiding sense of alienation, comes from this. It is the natural, healthy, sane reaction of a consciousness that is beginning to wake up within an insane asylum. Your exhaustion is not a personal failing. It is the immense energetic cost of pretending. It is the soul-crushing effort of trying to force yourself to believe in a fiction that your heart knows is untrue. You are not tired because you are weak. You are tired because you have been carrying the weight of a false world on your shoulders. You are not lonely because you are unlovable. You are lonely because you have begun to crave a conversation that almost no one else is ready to have. Your kindness is not a weakness. It is a rebellion. It is a radical act of defiance against the cynical script. Every time you offer a piece of yourself with no expectation of return, you are ripping a page out of the official rule book. You are whispering a forbidden truth, that we are not just our roles, that connection is possible without transaction, that the whole point of this existence might be something other than winning a game that is rigged from the start. And that, you see, is terrifying to the other actors. It threatens the entire production. This is the great revelation, the pivot upon which your entire existence will turn if you let it. Your supposed flaws, the things that have caused you so much confusion and pain, are not flaws at all. They are the blossoming of a deeper intelligence, the virtues of a soul that is outgrowing its cage. Let us look at this exhaustion you feel, this sense of being perpetually drained by your interactions. The world tells you this is a problem of poor boundaries. It tells you to be more guarded, to build higher walls, to manage your emotional resources like a miser counting his coins. It frames your goodness as a limited commodity that you are foolishly giving away. But this is a profound misunderstanding of your nature. You are not a stagnant pond that can be emptied. You are a natural spring. The very essence of a spring is to give, to flow, to pour forth. The water doesn't ask where it's going or who is worthy to drink it. It simply expresses its nature, which is to bubble up from the depths and nourish whatever it touches. Your exhaustion does not come from the act of giving. It comes from trying to pour yourself into vessels that are designed never to be full. It comes from offering living water to people who are only interested in measuring its volume, analyzing its mineral content, and calculating its market value. They are not drinking to quench a thirst. They are collecting to feel secure. The energy drain you feel is the friction of your infinite, flowing nature colliding with their finite, grasping one. You have been trying to play the game of scarcity with a heart of abundance. And it is a game you can never win, not because you are a poor player, but because you are not playing for the same prize. The moment you understand this, everything changes. You don't stop flowing. That would be a betrayal of your own essence. Instead, you stop worrying about the vessels. You simply flow. You learn to pour your energy not into the cracks of other people's emptiness, but into the soil of your own garden. You learn that your kindness is not a debt to be repaid, but a light to be shown. A lighthouse doesn't discriminate. It doesn't worry if the ships are deserving of its light. It just shines, because that is its purpose. And in shining, it finds its own reason for being. And what of this feeling of being naive, of being the fool who trusts too easily, who always assumes the best in people, only to be let down time and time again? You have been told that this is a lack of worldliness, a childish refusal to see the darkness in people. You have been advised to become more cynical, more suspicious, to meet the world with a shield and a preemptive scowl. This, they say, is what it means to be strong. But consider a different perspective. Your trust is not a sign of blindness. It is a sign of a deeper sight. You are not naive. You are primordial. Your instinct to trust comes from a place that predates the game of separation. It is a cellular memory of a time, a state of being, where the idea of me versus you had not yet been invented. When you meet someone, your soul's first impulse is to recognize itself. It sees another flicker of the same universal consciousness that animates you, and it naturally reaches out to connect. You are operating from the fundamental truth of unity. The disappointment you feel is the shock of colliding with someone who is operating from the learned illusion of separation. It is like an open, welcoming hand being met by a clenched fist. The pain is not in the openness of your hand, the pain is in the clenching of theirs. To call you naive is like calling a sunflower naive for turning towards the sun. It is simply following its nature. Your nature is to turn towards the light in others. The tragedy is not your instinct, but the clouds that so often obscure their light. To cure yourself of this naivete by becoming cynical would be like the sunflower deciding to turn towards the ground to avoid being disappointed on a cloudy day. It would be an abdication of its very purpose. The true wisdom is not to stop trusting, but to trust your own clarity. It is to learn the difference between the light in someone's soul and the fearful games their personality is playing. You can continue to honor the light you see, even while you wisely choose not to participate in the game. You can look at the clenched fist and, instead of clenching your own in return, you can simply see it for what it is, a hand in pain, a hand that has forgotten how to open. Your trust wasn't wrong. It was just aimed at a truth deeper than the one being presented. Now let's speak of that painful clarity, that terrible gift you have of seeing through the cracks in everyone's facade. You sit in a meeting, and while others hear a confident presentation, you hear the trembling undercurrent of insecurity. You watch two people in love, and you see the silent contracts and unspoken resentments passing between them like invisible ghosts. You see the desperate hunger for validation behind the bravado, the profound loneliness behind the mask of cheerful self-sufficiency. This is not a curse. This is not you being judgmental or negative. This is the emergence of true perception. Imagine you spent your entire life in a world where everyone agreed that the color blue was actually red. And you went along with it because who were you to argue? But one day, for some reason, your eyes begin to see correctly. You look at the sky, at the ocean, and you see with undeniable certainty that it is blue. At first, it's terrifying. You try to tell people, "Look, it's blue." And they look at you with pity or scorn. "Don't be ridiculous," they say. "It has always been red. You must be sick. You are being difficult." This is what has happened to you. You have begun to see the emotional and spiritual truth of situations with the same clarity that you see a color. Your frustration is not a character flaw. It is the agony of the sane person in a world that has agreed upon a comfortable lie. The pain you feel is a form of compassion so deep it hurts. You are not judging these people, you are grieving for them. You are grieving for the beautiful, authentic person trapped inside the rigid armor of their personality. You are grieving the lost potential, the unlived lives, the conversations that will never happen because they are too afraid to take off their masks. Your clarity is not a weapon to be used against others. It is a mirror, and for now, you must simply learn to hold it steady, without apology. You must learn to honor what you see, even if you are the only one seeing it. The pain will soften when you realize your job is not to convince them that the sky is blue. Your job is simply to live your life as a person who knows its true color. Your very existence becomes a quiet, powerful testament to the truth. And finally, this growing inability to play the game. The small talk that feels like chewing on sand. The networking events that feel like a slave market. The ambition for things that leave your soul cold. You watch others climb the ladder with ferocious energy, and you feel nothing. A sense of detachment, a profound lack of interest. The world calls this apathy or laziness or lack of drive. You may have even called it that yourself. You may have berated yourself for not wanting the things that everyone agrees are worth wanting. You are not failing at the game. You have woken up to the fact that you are in a casino. You look around and you see the flashing lights. You hear the ringing bells. You see people ecstatically celebrating winning a handful of plastic chips. And you have a strange memory of sunlight. You have a longing for the taste of fresh water and the feeling of solid earth beneath your feet. The plastic chips they offer as prizes no longer hold any value for you, because you have remembered that there is a real world outside the casino walls. Your inability to play is one of the most powerful signs of your liberation. It is the soul's refusal to be bought. It is your spirit declaring that it will no longer trade its authenticity for approval. It is the ultimate act of self-respect. You are not lazy. Your energy is simply refusing to be spent on things that do not matter. You are not unambitious. Your ambition has simply been reoriented towards a different kind of wealth. The wealth of inner peace, of genuine connection, of quiet moments of beauty, of living a life that is an honest expression of who you are. To the players in the casino, you will look like a fool, a loser, someone who is throwing it all away. Let them think that. You are not throwing anything away. You are walking away from the table, out of the stale, recycled air of the casino, and into the vast, unpredictable, and breathtakingly real world. You are choosing the sun over the neon lights. And so, a new kind of reality begins to dawn. It does not arrive with a thunderclap or a choir of angels. It arrives as a quiet, spreading stillness in the center of your chest. The frantic need to be understood begins to dissolve. The desperate hope that others will finally get it starts to fade, replaced by a calm acceptance that they may never. And in its place, a profound self-reliance is born. You stop fighting the river. For years, you have been trying to swim upstream, to force the current of society to bend to your will, to convince the water to flow in the direction you thought was right. The exhaustion was immense. Now, you simply let go. You realize you are not separate from the river. You are the river. Your true nature is the current, and you allow yourself to be carried into the great, unknown ocean of your own being. This path is not without its own brand of loneliness. To leave the stage play is to leave the company of the actors. There will be moments, many of them, when you will look back and see the warm glow of the theater, hear the faint sounds of applause, and feel a pang of longing for the simple certainty of a script. This is the loneliness of the pioneer, the solitude of the mystic. It is not the aching void of rejection, but the dignified silence of integrity. It is the quiet space needed for your own truth to finally be heard. You are learning to be your own sanctuary. You are building an inner world so rich and so real that the outside world's games become increasingly irrelevant. Your kindness, once a source of pain, now becomes your compass and your shield. But it is a different kind of kindness. It is not the frantic, pleasing kindness that begs for acceptance. It is a wise, discerning kindness. It is the kindness of the sun, which shines on everyone but does not scorch itself to keep others warm. You learn to offer your warmth without needing it to be reflected back. You learn that the greatest act of kindness is often to simply allow others to be where they are, without trying to rescue them from the play they have chosen to be in. You offer your presence, not your performance. And a strange power begins to emerge. Not the power to control or to dominate, not the power that comes from a high-status role in the play. It is a quiet, unshakable power. It is the power of the mountain that is not moved by the passing clouds. It is the power of the deep ocean that is not troubled by the turmoil on its surface. It is the power that comes from knowing, in your very bones, that you are not broken. You are not flawed. You are not to anything. You are simply awake in a world that is still dreaming. So the next time you feel that old familiar ache, the sting of your sincerity being met with cynicism, the exhaustion of your empathy in a world of transactions, do not shrink. Do not retreat. Do not try to harden yourself. Instead, let it be a reminder. Smile to yourself, a quiet, secret smile. Realize that you are feeling the growing pains of a new kind of consciousness. The danger you sensed was real, but it was not a danger to you. It was the danger you pose to the comfortable illusions of the world. You are a quiet revolution of one. Your very presence is a question, a challenge, a gentle but persistent invitation for others to wake up too. And you do not need to say a single word. You just need to be. To be the spring. To be the lighthouse. To be the one who remembers the color of the sky. The world may not be ready for you, but that is not your problem. Your only task is to be ready for yourself. And it seems, after all this time, you finally are.